then I'm going to say maybe it was Thunderball. I don't know.
Pat Horgan's our guest. By the way, you want to find out about Pat while we're chatting. He's on every Friday with us. He's a musician, singer, songwriter, accomplished band leader, producer, works on films, has scored them, and is producing his own. Right now he has a script. He's working on Hush Hush, but it's serious work. He puts out so much music. We were talking the other day about his stuff, and he'll tell you in a moment how many albums specifically. But I believe Pat appears on dozens, maybe 25, 30 albums that I'm aware of. Not only the albums he's produced with his band, but on so many compilations. So the way to get to all this is just go to Facebook and go to Pat Horgan, PATHORGAN, Thunder, THUNDER, ROAD. You got it? And then you'll be able to network into all this stuff. But it is the other night when we were talking about albums, how many do you appear on?
That's a good question.
I'll bet it is.
It's well over 20.
I knew it. In my head, it's 25.
I did 16 albums alone for Collectibles Records.
Wow.
I produced 16 albums for them, and we're on all of them, well, pretty much almost all of them.
Right.
There were a couple that I produced that I'm not on, but we did a comeback album for The Shadows of Night. Those are the guys that did Gloria. It's called Rock and Roll Survivors. I produced that, and there was an album for the Nas, which is the band that Todd Rundgren came out of. The original lead singer, Stookie, did an album called Nas Lives. I produced that for him. And the records, I did an album called Rotate, which was an 80s power pop band. So I did. I'm not on those albums, but I produced them. I produced the albums. But,
wow. And how many? Where do you start counting? Where do you start counting your years in as a musician? If you had to say, well, all right, honestly, I'll call it this. Not when you took your first lesson, but when you say.
It would go to the same year that you did, because I think that the first time you get paid, you're a working musician, and I think the first time we got paid, we were in a band together, was in 1970 at a bowling dinner on Williamsbridge Road, and I think we got $5 a piece and a hamburger.
You told me this, and I was sitting on the couch last week. I swear to God, I almost fell off my own couch. You're absolutely right. Yeah. And I remember there was a few bowling dinners. It wasn't even just one.
Oh, we did like 5 of them or something. We got 5 of them right off the bat.
Yeah.
We had to be pretty terrible, too.
Right. Well, whatever. You remember Patty Goldstein's basement? Do you remember we went to Pelham Manor, and we set up in Patty Goldstein's basement because her father owned this beautiful house. It was one of those classic Westchester County houses. Zolino got us the gig. And we hung out with these girls all day. It was all strange girls. It was her neighborhood kids. But you were the man, because I think you did Summertime Blues. We used to do
that back in the day, and we used to do that in Shadow.
Yeah, but Larry loved that. Larry Lizolino went nuts for that. So you would, and I'm telling you, man, chicks were going crazy for you. They were. I mean, I don't know what your recollection here was, but I remember standing there going, dude, if I had some hair and I could play something. I mean, it looked like something, for like the suburban basement thing.
Well, I think when we played the first bowling dinner, it was mostly girls.
Right.
And, we just liked who we were.
Yep. No, it's serious. It's unbelievable.
We used to walk around like we were a band. Right. That was important, to walk around the neighborhood and look like a band.
It absolutely was. It was. It was and you knew how to do. I'm telling you, man, all of these things that happened. You remember the week before the Beatles came out and the buttons were out? I love Paul. I love John. I love yeah. I know. I didn't really know what was going on. I knew something big was happening, but it really took me a while to catch on. I always felt that you and a couple other people, you spotted it, you got it, you got the most out of it, you knew how to listen to. You know what I told earlier today? You'll know this. It's a ritual. When we used to buy a 45, you're in search of one song. You go to a store, they hand you the song, it's like a magical thing in your hand, you paid $1 and change, go home, and you have to track it 7-8 times.
Less than $1 in the beginning. It was less than $1 in the beginning, but it was, the thing was, we were very fortunate where, we grew up, we had this really great record store, Armies, which is still there. I mean, it's not owned by the same people, and it's not the same experience. But I mean, we were very fortunate that we had a record store we could go in and we would try the record out for you. And at least to play the song for you, and which is like a throwback to the 50s, I think, but in still the 60s we were able to do that,
Oh, yeah, what was his name? You loved that guy, the bald-headed guy.
Nat Israel was his name.
Yeah, bald-headed guy.
I've been to his house and everything. I mean, he must be gone now, but I saw him last time I saw him was probably in the 90s, and he was selling the place. Him and his brother used to work in it. His brother was a jazz musician. Mm-hmm. And I remember when records used to come out with a picture sleeve, he would tape the picture sleeve on the window.
Right, bingo.
So you could see what was coming out that week. And then I remember seeing
killing me.
One that really struck me was Jumpin' Jack Flash.
Right.
With the Stones wearing all this like weird hats and holding a fish and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, what is this about? And then, of course, like probably, inside there was one of the greatest records of all time,
Right.
Produced by Jimmy Miller, whose daughter is a good friend of mine, Tina.
Really? Oh, you know what you just reminded me of?
I never get tired of hearing it.
Never. Did you? I'm sure you saw Bobby Keys passed away this week.
Bobby Keys and Ian McLaughlin from the Faces. I mean, I'm heartbroken about that. I mean, one of my favorite live bands of all time is the Faces.
Faces, yeah.
Faces, a tremendous
That's
band.
the good sign of Rod Stewart, right? I mean, that's the upside of Rod Stewart.
The thing with Rod Stewart is that, I always tell my kids a story. It's hard to believe, but there was a time when Rod Stewart didn't suck.
Right.
But when he was on Mercury Records and he was recording in England with his regular guys, Mick Waller and Ronnie Wood and all those guys, he made some tremendous records. Made some fantastic records. Then he got signed to Warner Brothers and came to America, and that was the end.
Right.
He made an album called Atlantic Crossing, where his foot is stretched out to America, and that was the beginning of the suckiness because it's like he phoned in those records. I think his producer and his musicians to go in and say, "Okay, Rod, come in and do your vocals." I mean, you always get the impression listening to the early records and the Faces records that they were having a party.
Well, don't you think now, if you see either him or a documentary about him, I'm not sure he really loved this idea of being a great singer. He was a kind of a soccer guy who loved attention and success. So if he was going to get more going into Studio B alone and doing, Do You Think I'm Sexy or something. You know what I would say his last good song was? When I left him, he departed from me. So maybe it is the album you mentioned. Do you remember The Killing of Georgie?
Yeah.
Georgie went down, and it was all about this poor kid that got killed.
I don't like that one.
Well, to me, that was the end, though. I'm saying that was the old Rod Stewart.
Well, that's the album where he's on the cover and he's wearing like a straw hat or something. He's holding a drink, and he did a song where he let his girlfriend, who was Britt Eklund at the time,
right,
talk in French. Tonight's the night, whatever. I just think that stuff is absolute crap.
Awful, right?
Right. I think his last great album, his solo album, is an album called Smiler, which was the last Mercury album. He's never made a good record for Warner Brothers.
And what's on that? Just to jog our memory. What's on Smiler?
You're gonna be songs that are not going to jump right out at you because it's like he does Sweet Little Rock and Roller. It starts out with Sweet Little Rock and Roller by Chuck Berry. And his band, there's a false start, there's a dog barking, there's all this. It's very rough and very real rock and roll. He even does a song on that album called "Let Me Be Your Car" with Elton John. And it's a great rock and roll song. I mean, he made so many great tunes, but I mean, everybody knows Maggie May, and that's off an album called "Every Picture Tells a Story," which is a phenomenal album. I mean, Maggie May is played out to death, but the rest of that album is fantastic. There's not a bad song on it.
I got it in front of me, so I can tell you a couple of things about it. It is. I'm just trying to make the print big enough to read it, but I got the. I got the summary of what this album is here. You see, if anybody like me can remember this stuff. All right. Wow, it's his fifth solo album. Man, so how old do you think he...
Smiler?
Smiler. Yeah, we're talking about Smiler now.
Yeah, okay.
So, fifth solo album. How old a guy is he? He's born in the 40s, like all these guys, right? He's with all that crowd, Jimmy Page,
Yeah,
the
he's got to
Beatles.
be close to 70 now. So you figure that was
1974.
In the early 70s, 75, 76, something like that.
Got it.
Because he went to Warner Brothers. When I worked at Warner Brothers, 78, he'd already been there for a while, and then he did "Do You Think I'm Sexy" and all that stuff. But he had a couple of records under his belt before that at Warner Brothers. So I'm guessing that's probably 76 at the latest.
You know what else he did on that album? I see what you said, the duet with Elton John, "Let Me Be Your Car."
Yeah.
But he did Carole King's "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman," switch to the word man.
He did this stuff for, I'm not crazy about that. But
You're not? Oh, that's ballsy. That's a ballsy attempt. Come on, not a lot of guys are going to try to do that. That's all right. He did.
No, I mean, and it's good, but I mean, I just think that a lot of there's a lot of good stuff on that record, but the opening track is a real Chuck Berry track is classic Rod.
Mm-hmm.
The great tune.
Right. Well, they said the two singles were "Farewell," "Bring It On Home to Me," and then "Mine."
Bring It On Home he does a great medley, Sam Cooke medley on that record. Bring It On Home and "You Send Me"
Nice.
medley.
All right.
Which is his forte. I mean, he's a soul singer. That's his thing.
So let's go back to
Rod Stewart album.
Right.
Get the Rod Stewart album. That's I think there's a great tune on there called "An Old Overcoat Will Never Let You Down." I mean, he wrote great songs in the early days, and he played a little acoustic guitar on the records, and then later on he got this band, and he had Carmine Appice playing drums, some Vanilla Fudge, and all these guys, and it got very heavy, and he didn't do as much of the acoustic kind of stuff that he was really good at. And the mandolin, like "Mandolin Wind" is another great tune. There's actually a CD box set that you can get, which is everything that he did on Mercury. And if you get that, you don't really have to buy anything else. The Faces is another story. The Faces, there's a compilation of the Faces. If you want an example of how great they were when he was in the Faces and how great the band was, there's a song called "Wicked Messenger." It's a cover of a Bob Dylan song. Because the only song people know by the Faces is "Stay With Me." That's the only song people know.
Right.
They were just a great rock and roll band. And in fact, there's a song called "Ooh La La" that Ron Wood sings lead on.
No kidding.
And Rod sings it. Yeah, "Ooh La La." You've heard it before. When you hear it, you'll say, "Oh, I heard this."
Yeah.
And it's used in a lot of movies and stuff, and it's just a great tune. Rod sings background like harmonies on it, and it sounds fantastic. But check out "Wicked Messenger" by the Faces. And it was the Faces. It wasn't Rod Stewart and the Faces. That's what people started calling it later on. It was the Faces. And then, but if you want Rod Stewart, go to the Rod Stewart album or "Every Picture Tells a Story."
Right.
For the good stuff.
Well, listen, let's go back to Going to Harmony. All right. One of my big memories, I think I've told you this, is I saw Prince's first album there. It was a cardboard thing. I don't know what it was. And he's got no shirt on. Yeah. So that's Prince.
Oh, Prince.
Prince,
okay.
Right, the earliest Prince, right. So that would be an example of something you bump into, you have no idea how that would be huge later. What was the most fun for you at Harmony? Discovering something you didn't know before you got there, or finding something that you really wanted to find?
There was a lot of stuff there, and you had a limited income, so you went there, and there was always things that you wanted. And I remember seeing like the poster for Vanilla Fudge near the beginning, and thinking,
that golden girl. Yeah.
Huh?
That's like a golden girl on the front or something. What's up?
No. That's actually their first album. That's the big hit album. But this was a live album they did called Near the Beginning. And they do Shotgun on there and stuff like that. And I remember, looking at that as a kid in there. But, just looking through all the records and looking at all the albums and the catalogs. And then he used to sell promo copies, which you weren't supposed to do legally. And they were, he got them from guys that worked at record companies, including myself. And, you would buy them for like $1 and or $2, and you could take a chance. And I mean, some of the groups I got out of the first Bad Company album, I got out of the promo bin, didn't know who they were.
Right.
I knew Paul Rogers was in Bad Company, and Paul Rogers was in Free, and I knew that Nick Rouse was in Montelupo, so I took a shot.
Right.
And it was like one of my favorite albums. I remember getting the first Montrose album there, Ronnie Montrose, who had been the guitar player from the Edgar Winter group, and Sammy Hagar was the lead singer, who was not even known at the time. And again, it's still one of my favorite hard rock albums of all time. The first Montrose album.
Wow.
Got that for $2 in there in the promo thing.
All right, so listen, we got time to bring this up. How do we work Peter in here? Will Peter talk about his jazz, or will he like to just reminisce about the old days? What do you think, Peter?
He'll talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Good, because I dropped him a mention, and I'm going to let it sit, because I know how he gets. You get busy, it's time of day. So I'm just going to let it sit there. But you, next time you talk, say, hey, I know Ed mentioned it. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I do. I think that there's a room today, right now in the media, for a little authenticity. This is just strict, bearing witness to what was. I think it's good. Years ago, they go, I think it helps. So, this Spectre movie, not a big deal to you. Is there anything you're looking forward to that'll be released for the holiday movie season? Because I know when you like a movie, you'll go midnight Thursday to go see what you want. Is there anything coming down the pike?
I don't know. I've seen a couple of trailers, a couple of things, and there hasn't been much going on. Summer I went to see a bunch of things, but, I saw the Star Wars trailer, which everybody went crazy about. And, it looks good, but, I'm not a Star Wars fanatic. I enjoyed them to a certain degree, but I'm not like, I have friends that are like, Star Wars geeks, I'm more of a Trek guy, But, so I saw that. I saw the trailer for the new Terminator movie. Looks pretty stupid,
Right.
But, how many years are you going to drag Arnold out there for them to be a robot? How do you explain the robot getting old? And the trailer is everything you want, because the last movie bombed. They didn't have Arnold. They didn't do all the usual stuff. So this one, you could tell, it's like in the trailer are the two lines, "I'll be back," and "Come with me if you want to live." I said, okay, well, they're just basically doing the first movie over.
Right. Right.
But I don't. There's nothing really that's jumping out at me that I have to see. Certainly nothing for the holidays.
Nothing big on the agenda. Yeah, I got it. Now, overall, this was kind of an anemic year, or did you really see some good new movies this year?
I didn't see anything earth-shaking. I saw the usual blockbusters, whichever one. Guardians of the Galaxy was fun. And,
that's right. You talked about that on the air. You saw did you see Fury? Did you see Brad Pitt as Joe Fury?
No,
Captain
I didn't see
Joe.
that.
All right, good. I can't imagine that. What about Doctor Strange? There was this guy got picked, Cumberbatch or whatever.
Yeah, I think that guy's a good choice because I really like him. There's a British version of Sherlock Holmes, a contemporary telling of Sherlock Holmes called Sherlock, which plays on the BBC, and I get it on Netflix. And the way they make shows in England, here's 6 seasons and that's 6 episodes. That's season 1, and here's the 6 episodes of season 2. So I'm into season 2 now. But I think the guy's a phenomenal actor. He's in a couple of other new movies right now, but I think he's a great choice. Anytime you get a good actor, you're going to take that character, which potentially could be, like a throwaway, comic book character, and like when you get a Robert Downey Jr. in there, or Kirk Douglas, and Kirk Douglas is going to be an Ant-Man. When you get these kind of guys, it's kind of like low, kind of raises the bar,
Yeah. All right, good. So then now you got to refresh me. I remember the Doctor Strange comic book, and all I know is that he wore green, but I don't think I ever really knew what does he do. He has a superpower, or
when we were a kid. When we were a kid, he didn't have his own comic. He was in a book called Strange Tales, which is what we used to call a split book. So half the book would be Doctor Strange, and the other half in the beginning was solo stories of the Human Torch from the Fantastic Four. Then they replaced the Human Torch with Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is now a television show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But Dr. Strange was a surgeon. He was very arrogant and wealthy and didn't care about people. And he gets in an accident, and his hands are ruined. So he goes and seeks out this monastery somewhere in Tibet or something, and studies under this guy called the Ancient One, who teaches him the way of the mystic arts. He becomes the master of the mystic arts, and he has his epiphany where he realizes he has to help people. But he's a sorcerer. That's basically what he is.
Okay, he's a sorcerer.
He fights all the bad sorcerers.
Right, and he could conjure something. Is it straight supernatural, or does he use like a tree bark and a drop of ocean water?
No, it's pretty supernatural. I'm thinking that, a lot of people will be smoking fatties before they go to see this one.
Okay, Dr. Strange. All right, good. Well, you got my interest with that. I didn't know what to make of his pick. Now, where have we seen? I certainly haven't seen him. What has this guy been in? How do you know his name, Cumberbatch?
Well, he was in, I think his first thing that he was known for was this television show, Sherlock.
Oh, okay.
Which aired on cable on the BBC channel here.
Right.
And I guess he became quite a sensation because he's really great in it. You have to see it. And then he also did the second Star Trek movie, which was called, when they rebooted Star Trek, he did Star Trek Into Darkness, and he ends up playing, I don't think it's a secret at this point, the character ends up being Khan. That's a remake of the
Oh, okay. Wow. So he's the young version of Ricardo Montalban?
Well, he's playing a totally different version of Khan. There's no Hispanic.
Nothing related to Ricardo, but he is the young guy. He's a young version.
He's a Superman. He's a super. A metahuman. Which Khan was.
Oh, okay.
But they just gave. He has a different ethnicity this time around. He's British.
Right.
Not Hispanic.
Did you use? Hold on. Did you use the word? Yeah. Did you say the word metahuman? Is that what that is? Is that what you meant to say?
A metahuman.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean? I love that. What does that mean?
Human is like a human with extraordinary powers. Because he's not really a superhero. He's not a superhero. He's not a good guy. He's a metahuman or
extraordinary human.
In the X-Men movies, he'd be a mutant.
Okay, good.
He's not a mutant. He's not born that way. He was made that way. So.
Oh, all right.
Metahuman.
So this background you're giving me, this background is in the Khan movie, Wrath of Khan, or this is the background of the new film?
Well, I mean, that was true in the original story. I mean, Khan is a character that was created on the original television series, so he was shot into space along with like 70 other people that were from the 20th century and who had been enhanced by whatever, either by surgery or by chemistry or whatever, and they ended up taking over the world or something, and then they finally defeated them and they shot him into space. And then Kirk unwittingly releases him.
Okay.
And that became, he became Kirk's arch enemy, basically.
That's it, nemesis. Got it. I got it.
Yeah, and when they did him in the Wrath of Khan, and of course, you have an actor like Ricardo Montalban who chews up the scenery, the furniture, everything.
He does.
So when they did it over, I guess they were really looking for an actor as opposed to an ethnicity.
Right.
He didn't have to be. Ricardo obviously is Latino, but I think he's played, all kinds of things. But
no, he was good diabolical. He was a very good diabolical moment guy. He looked like nuts.
It's by far, most people now, they've made 11 or 12 Star Trek movies. Most people will still tell you it's the best one.
Right.
And it's primarily because of him.
It is. Hey, I have to ask you. You used the phrase "shot into space." You realize this morning, about 10 miles, 12 miles north of the studio, we're on our way to Mars. By the way, it's back safely. It came down and landed beautifully in the ocean. But
it's reusable.
Yes. But you must tell me what you think about this idea that it's real now. This is not crazy talk. This is probably in our lifetime, even if we're older dudes. Now, what does that do for you when you were a kid? You loved all these movies. This is taking away your fun, turning it into science.
No. My practical way of looking at it is, why are we going to Mars? You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, if you know that, what is it? It's a friggin' rock in space. You know, there's nothing up there. It's not like we're going to go up there and find a race that's going to help us cure cancer. So, I mean, why spend all this money to do that? I guess, you know, space exploration was a big thing in the 60s because we really didn't know much, but we know a lot more now. So it's like, well, why are we going there? I mean, why are people going to want to go to Mars? You know?
Well, I do think there's a couple of theories about Mars having had something like us before, and it's gone. Like, I think there's evidence of past water so I do think that, but you're right, it's a stretch. I mean, so there's a practical side. What about the fact, though, that when rockets now are going to go, we're really going to go farther and farther? Is that impressive? I mean, the reach of a space shot now, we're really aiming eons beyond the moon.
Well, I mean, I'm literally not a rocket scientist, so, I mean, I don't understand the logistics and the...
But exciting? Is it exciting? Is it exciting to you?
Kind of. Well, if it's exciting, it's more like, okay, that's, you know...
Makes sense.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think the reality of it ever tapped into what I liked. To me, the movies were just so much more interesting than life.
Right. It is kind of mundane.
When you go to the Angry Red Planet, you know, and there's giant spider monkeys, you know, walking around, you know. I mean, that's a lot more interesting than what's really up there.
I couldn't agree with you more. Exactly. It is like a little bit mining in a really deep hole and hoping for something. But, hey, listen, another...
I like fantasy. I mean, reality, you know, you sat in school and you know that reality bores the hell out of me, you know. You know, what's the other thing? But you know, it's just kind of like, you know, the rupture of the volcano, you know, I come out like a light.
Exactly.
I don't care about
Exactly. All right, what's the next time you're playing out? You have anything on the calendar that you got to rehearse for?
I don't have anything for the rest of the year. I've got some stuff in March and April, but we're just firming that up. We know we'll be at Chiller in April, last weekend of April again, and I think we're going to do a St. Patrick's Day. We're going to do an all-Irish show.
Oh, where? Up by you?
We've done it once before, and so we want to do that. We're going acoustic. We're going to do the Clancy Brothers and the Irish Rovers and all that stuff. We're going to do an all-acoustic Irish show. We did it one time before.
Nice.
And so I'd like to do it again.
Now, why do I know the Clancy Brothers for the one song that when we were kids? What was their biggest hit?
The Clancy Brothers were contemporaries of Bob Dylan. They were in the folk scene, but they happened to be from Ireland. And they were a bestseller on Columbia Records in the early 60s. And I'm talking, when I say early 60s, I'm talking 1960, 61, 62. And, you know, if you were Irish growing up, you had their records in the house. So their big selling album was the Clancy Brothers Live at Carnegie Hall. And, you know, it's funny, they recently released the entire concert, because for years I only knew the 12 songs that were on the album. The entire concert is very different because, first of all, there's a lot of political stuff, which was taken off the original album. And you know, these guys were patriots. You know, they were all down on England and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then there were also a couple of risque remarks for the time.
Mm-hmm.
When you listen to it now, it's funny, but they were a great Irish recording act. And, you know, and then the Irish Rovers had the big hit with the Unicorn, you know.
That's what I was thinking of, the Unicorn. So that's the Irish Rovers, the Clancy Brothers. But what could I possibly remember? What would everybody know by the Clancy Brothers, even if they didn't know the Clancy Brothers were doing it?
I don't know about the general population, but, you know, they had the song "The Patriot Game" and Johnson's Motor Car, and you know, these are songs that just the average person is not going to hear on the radio somewhere. If you were listening to Irish radio, you would have heard it,
right?
You know, but I don't think they ever had a pop hit. I don't think they ever crossed over. The Irish Rovers crossed over.
Okay,
just the one song.
Because I'm thinking of those acoustic bands that always had those songs with the guy was running on the road, to the next verse.
Well, you know, they had the thing, they would strum the chord reel, and they were, "This is the biggest mix-up that you have ever seen.
That's it.
He was orange and me mother, she was green, and they'd be whistling and stomping her feet.
That's it. I love that. That's exactly it. That's it. That's why I know them.
That's the show we're going to do. My keyboard player is going to play guitar. We're all going to play guitars.
Wow.
It's going to be like 5 acoustic guitars, and we'll have a little percussion there, and then we're all going to sing. And my keyboard player John Burke has all the sheet music for all the Irish songs. So we did it once before, but now we're at the full strength because Tom Tully's back.
Yeah.
And Mac as well again.
Yep.
So we've got the 4 Irish guys.
Yeah.
And then we have the 2 Italian guys.
Right. That's our neighborhood.
Let them play anyway.
That's it. That's it. That's our neighborhood, right? It's great. All right, so that's going to be on actual St. Patty's on March 17th.
We're going to try. I think this year St. Patrick's Day falls on a Saturday, so I'll let you know when we get closer. I think we're going to be down in Cold Spring, Westchester.
Oh, okay. All right. Because you know what? If it is a Saturday, maybe I could weasel my way into that. You got to make somebody tape that. Somebody has got to capture that on video.
Yeah. We're going to try to work that out. We'll try to do Pat Organ Thunder Road live. Raising hell on St. Patrick's Day.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. There's something. All right, great visit. Have a good week. I always ask you, no snow. I would know if you had any.
No snow. No, we're good.
Are you dreary and overcast, or you got a little sunshine today?
No, it's dreary. I mean, it's overcast, but I'm home. I'm going to take it easy. I got to teach tomorrow, but my dog's sitting for my girlfriend, and I have my own dog here.
Oh, nice.
So we're all sitting here looking out the window. And I think there will probably be some frosty ones fairly soon.
Very good. And you got good company. You got good company that won't give you an argument about anything.
No, they're not going to give me an argument. No, there are 2 of them sitting here.
All right, I'm gonna play you out. I'm gonna play you out differently this time. I'm gonna do the Facebook page. I'm gonna play you out with Barroom Musician. Now I use this on the air when I'm feeling wistful, when I feel alienated from a topic, like maybe I've talked about something for 20 minutes and the news goes against me, and then I feel like, all right, you know what? I'm just gonna go and do comedy in bars, because that was what I did 12 years ago. I was like, that's it. So that song, you wrote the words alone. Talk 30 seconds about Barroom Musician, how it got written.
I wrote that like in, I want to say like 1980 or something. So I was very young when I wrote it, like 24 or something. And it's kind of a little bit negative, which I don't try to write in that way now, but I changed a few words to make it less negative as we did, because we recorded it twice. We did it with the full band, and we did it acoustically with just Tom Tully and myself. And I think this is the only song we're going to do one more time. But I got to get it right. It's not quite right yet.
So this is great. What part of it was rubbing you the wrong way when you would hear it?
I think the middle needs work. I think I'm going to write a new middle 8 bars for it.
Oh, I see. You're talking about from song structure. Okay, I got you. The song. You're talking about the song holistically. There's not a mistake in there that you left in.
No.
I got you.
I think the song could be better.
Look at you. All right. So you're right. All of us are the same. The guy that was on before you is the same way. I get in this all the time. Better. And so everybody. All right, good. So that's good for us, I think, right? That's your internal drive.
Well, it's a strong song, and a lot of people have commented on it through the years, and a lot of professional musicians have told me they really like this song, and I go, okay, but this song could be better, And awesome. I think I'm going to do the middle over.
Well, so beautiful.
I have something in mind. I've fooled around with it a little bit, but when we get in the studio for the next record, the trilogy, I call it the trilogy, because it was Find Your Way Back, 13 Bones, and now the third full album, because we've been on a lot of albums where, the funny thing is when you work on an album, you live with it for a long time. You live with all the songs for a long time, and then when I'm done with it, I probably don't listen to it again for years. But when we do individual tracks for compilations and stuff, we work very quickly, and it goes to press very quickly, and then I never hear the song again. So I actually went back to some of the records and listened to stuff that I forgot. I didn't even know we did.
Wow.
I mean, they were such a flash, like we were recorded in 1 day, 2 days, and then went out on a record, and I went, oh, okay, You know.
Now, you're uncomfortable with that guitar solo that I love, or you're not gonna? I mean, I hate to start prying now; it's none of my business. But honestly, that middle. Do you mean the guitar solo middle?
No.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
there's a vocal part there where the guitar line is sung, and I just have a better idea for it.
I got you. Cool. Well, I can't wait.
I don't know. I mean, who knows?
No, come on. The Beatles used to do this.
Right.
You know what I love whenever you hear a Beatles song in different speed. You know, like when they're doing it slow, or they're doing it with just two guitars. So listen, everybody loves that. That's great. All right, man. You have a great weekend. Thanks. I'm playing out with that song, and now that was a great tease. Now, are you going to get around to this in 2015, or it'll happen when it happens?
It's on the drawing board. Let's see what happens.
Rock on. All right. Oh, one more time now. I'm gonna do the thing here. You go to facebook.com easy /PAT Pat Horgan HORGAN Thunder THUNDER ROAD Road. So it's all facebook.com /Pat Horgan Thunder Road. You're listening to Barroom Musician, where it's already in the oven. He's baking a new version. Looking forward to that. And then we'll talk to you next week, okay? Next Friday.
All right, brother.
Right on, my man. Have a good weekend. Enjoy. All right, this is a great tune. I love this tune.
We play the songs we played the night before. The crowd is stoned and the bartender's bored. Another stump the band. Another name that.
The crowd is stoned and the bartender is bored. Oh yeah.
Family tradition.
That's my room.
Grandpa played
Every musician, performer, I don't care if you got a ukulele, I don't care if you're out there doing magic tricks. You've been in that room. Pat Horgan, Thunder Road Band. The track is Barroom Musician, and we hang out every Friday. Kick ass. All right, here's my favorite that's nearby. I've got like 3 favorites, but this is my speed right here. This is what we used to do when we were kids. This is how fast we used to move. It's like, all right, you ready? We're going to band practice. Let's go. We're late for school. Come on. Friday, Starcom Radio Network. Ed Tyll Show.
You know what I mean? Walking locks in the hot sun. You know what I mean? With the man on the chain gang. You know what I mean? In the slam with the big bang. You know what I mean? Bad boys build good roads. Bad boys, they build good roads. Bad boys, they build good roads, it seems.
What we have here is a failure to communicate.